Kane Review, print speaking to the blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @KaneReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@kuenreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
This week's podcast is read by volunteers Alan, Corey, Hunter, Ian, Jahan and Nikki. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Banishing the Winter Blues. Report by Kevin McRoberts. A project helping East Dunbartonshire library users to tackle low winter moods has been hailed as a success. In late October last year, people across the region became the first in Scotland to be given the opportunity to take some extra sunlight home to help them deal with low winter moods. Since the clocks went back, visitors to 4 local libraries, William Patrick Library in Kirkintilloch and the libraries in Bishopbriggs, Lennoxtown and Mulgai, have had the chance to borrow a wintering well box, including a seasonal affective disorder lamp which replicates the physiological benefits of real sunlight. The book also contains a handbook called Light is a Right, a guide to wintering well, and free access to an online course designed to tackle the effects of seasonal affective disorder, SAD. The initiative is the latest development in living with SAD, an ongoing research project examining the mental and physical effects of long dark winters, led by academics from the universities of Glasgow and Edinburgh. It is currently partnered with East Dunbartonshire Leisure and Cultural Trust, EDLCT. This week, local library users told the project team about how the scheme was going. Library user Karen said, "I have really enjoyed this experience. I've been able to embrace winter so far this year, rather than fighting or hiding from it. I told all my friends about it and 3 of them also got the boxes, one of whom has been sharing his day lamp with her elderly mum, who is housebound." Karen added, "More of these kits should be available across the country." Wintering Well box user Mick commented, "I didn't know what to expect. It was like a lovely, unexpected birthday present with all the nice things in it." And Sheila added, "With the darkness in winter, it sometimes feels like you're never able to see the sun. You're up in the dark and go to your work, then when you leave your work it's dark again. I found it wonderful to give me a boost of light in the dark morning. It really improved my mood and my energy levels." Chair of East Dunbartonshire Leisure and Cultural Trust, Councillor Jim Gibbons, said, "We have been overwhelmed by the reaction to the Wintering Well boxes in the libraries. Within a week of having them available, every single one of them was out on loan. The project has also started some really positive conversations in our libraries about how to approach winter time and take care of your well-being during the darker months. People are really connecting with the lamp and the resources. It is improving their experience of winter, which is so encouraging to hear." Professor Hester Parr of the School of Geographical and Earth Sciences is one of the leaders of Living with Seasonal Affective Disorder project. She said, "January is one of the most challenging months for people with SAD or low winter mood. The creative resources in the Wintering Well box include a novel daily guide to how to live with low winter light in positive ways. I am delighted that library users are benefiting from this new scheme. We will continue to collect feedback throughout the winter to help us guide the next stage of living with SAD, which could involve bringing lamps and resources to many other communities across Scotland. A total of 100 lamps are available for library users to borrow for 4-week loan periods. The libraries are also hosting mini exhibitions made up of images of everyday experiences of SAD, created by participants in the team's Wintering Well workshops. The Wintering Well boxes are available from William Patrick Library in Kirkintilloch and the libraries in Bishopbriggs, Lennoxtown and Mulgai. East Dunbartonshire Leisure and Cultural Trust can also transfer boxes to other local libraries on request. The distribution of the lamps and the Wintering Well packs has been funded by a grant from UKRI's ESRC Impact Acceleration account. The book and free course resources are also being delivered to 80 NHS GP practices in Glasgow through the Community Link Worker system. For more information on Wintering Well, visit www.gla.ac.uk/research/livingwithacd/winteringwell/resources. And that report was written by Kev McRoberts and read by Ian McKenna. This Week in History. January 23rd, 1976. Paul Robeson, US actor/singer, died in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, aged 77. On this day last year, Peppa Pig was to make her Lego debut in a new range of toys in the popular children's character's latest lucrative movie. July 24th, 1976. Margaret Thatcher was dubbed the Iron Lady in the Soviet newspaper Red Star after a speech about the communist threat. On this day last year, MPs said the UK could no longer be considered a global aid superpower as failures on funding commitments would lead to thousands of women and girls dying in pregnancy or childbirth. January 25th, 1981. The Gang of Four, Roy Jenkins, David Owen, Shirley Williams and Bill Rogers, broke away from the Labour Party to set up the Social Democrats. January 26, 1965, Hindi was made the official language of India. On this day last year, shoplifting rates in England and Wales hit their highest levels in more than 20 years, figures showed. January 27, 1967, round-the-world yachtsman Francis Chichester was knighted by the Queen at Greenwich with a sword which once belonged to Sir Francis Drake. On this day last year, the King spent the night in hospital after undergoing a procedure for an enlarged prostate, a common condition in older men. And that was This Week in History.
Waiting for pavement parking ban. A report by Julie Curry. East Dunbartonshire Council has been criticised for being one of the slowest to start enforcing Scotland's ban on pavement parking. Pavement parking, double parking and parking at dropped curbs were banned by the Transport Scotland Act in 2019. The intention was to make pavements safer, particularly for children in buggies, wheelchair users and anyone with mobility issues. A scheme was designed by the Scottish Government in consultation with councils. The ban came into force in December 2023 and some councils have started enforcement. East Dunbartonshire councillors have discussed a list of exemptions, but a date for its introduction is yet to be agreed. Ross Greer, local Scottish Green MSP, is calling for the council to act. He said, "Over a year has passed and East Dunbartonshire Council still can't even say when they will start enforcement. This is a frustrating letdown and I hope they will pick up the pace in 2025. Council leader Gordon Lowe said this week that the process to introduce fines is ongoing. He added, in terms of the legislation, an exemption order is currently being progressed for specific locations and the consultation phase of this exemption process was completed as of January 3. A final report is now being prepared for consideration. A commencement date will be agreed with Glasgow City Council, which operates our back office system, and an extensive communications plan will ensure that residents are informed in advance of the commencement date. Meanwhile, Glasgow City Council has confirmed it will begin enforcement for parking on pavements from next Wednesday, January 29, with motorists facing £100 fines, which will be halved if paid within 2 weeks. However, the council said warning notices would be issued initially to help drivers adjust to the new arrangements. The city's transport convener Angus Miller said pavement parking, double parking and parking at drop curbs create road safety hazards and put vulnerable pedestrians and wheelchair users in danger. Forcing people to walk on the carriageway in direct conflict with traffic is unacceptable. That report was by Julie Curry and read by me, Nikki.
MSP urges local people to get flu and COVID-19 jags, as recorded by Hunter MacDonald. Strathkelvin and Bearsden MSP Rona Mackay has encouraged all eligible people in her constituency to make sure that they get their winter flu jag to protect them against serious illness. Scotland had the highest uptake of flu vaccine amongst people over 65 in the UK last year, with research from the Scottish Parliament Information Centre, SPIC, showing that 79.8% of people over 65 in Scotland received their winter flu vaccine. However, latest figures show that so far this winter, only 45.8% of eligible adults in NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde have received their flu and COVID-19 vaccines. People have until March the 31st to receive their jags. Other eligible groups for the double-dose flu and COVID-19 vaccination include pregnant women, people with certain health conditions and frontline health workers. Those entitled to the flu-only vaccination include primary and secondary school pupils, unpaid carers and the homeless. Miss Mackay said, "Getting vaccinated gives you the best possible protection against flu viruses which are circulating this winter. The flu vaccine offers strong protection, while the COVID-19 booster reduces the severity of illness and boosts protection. The vaccines will reduce your risk of needing to go to hospital with serious illness and help to protect those around you from catching flu and getting ill. It is hugely encouraging that Scotland had the highest uptake of vaccines in the UK last winter, and I encourage everyone in my constituency who hasn't already done so this winter to check if they are eligible."
Swinging start to 2025 as new play area opens, by Kevin McRoberts. The new year has got off to a swinging start for the young people of Bishopbriggs, with the opening of a fantastic new play area at Springfield Park. The fabulous new play area, which includes the largest multiplay unit in East Dunbartonshire, cost £200,000 to construct and was funded by the Scottish Government's Renewing Scotland's Play Park funding and EDC capital funding. Councillor Paul Ferretti, convener of the Council's Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets Committee, officially opened the impressive new play area along with local children from Westercleddens Primary School. Councillor Ferretti said, "As with all our new play parks, the community was involved in choosing the final design for this project. It appears they chose well, as it is a fantastic, well-resourced new play area that is already proving hugely popular with the young people of Bishopbriggs. It was great that we were joined by children from Westercleddens Primary School at the official opening so they could enjoy the fabulous end result for themselves. I'm sure the play area will be the backdrop to many happy hours of play for many years to come." The new play area includes a disability-friendly path that leads to a wealth of new nature-themed equipment installed on a new safety surface. Not only does it include the area's largest multiplay unit, a unit comprising multiple chutes, climbing frames, monkey bars and inclusive game panels, there is also a smaller multiplay unit for younger children, a balance trail, seesaw, roundabout, large rope swing and an exhilarating 30-metre zip line. There is something for everyone in the play area, and amongst the new equipment is an inclusive swing set, spinning bowl, cone climber, sensory play panels and the ever-popular basket swing. In recent years, the Council has been working with local groups to develop community play facilities or to upgrade existing play areas to meet changing community needs. It has carried out improvements at a number of play areas, including those at Doon Crescent, Medderburn North and Etive Park in Bishopbriggs, Peel Park, Afton View and Woodhead Park in Kirkintilloch, and Main Street Torrance. That article was written by Kevin McRoberts and it was read by Jahan.
8 stand in by-election. 8 candidates will contest the by-election for a councillor to represent the Kirkintilloch East and North and Twecher ward of East Dunbartonshire Council. The election was called following the resignation of Susan Murray, who stepped down after being elected as MP for Mid Dunbartonshire in last summer's general election. The candidates contesting the by-election are Marthos Christoforou, Scottish Liberal Democrats, Eamon Gallagher, Alba Party for Independence, Satbir Kaur Gill, Scottish Conservative and Unionist, Bruce Hampton, Reform UK, Aidan Marshall, Scottish Labour Party, Serena Marshall, Scottish National Party, Alan McManus, Sovereignty, and Elizabeth Rowan, Scottish Greens. The by-election will take place on Thursday, February the 13th between 7am and 10pm. Polling stations will be at Oxgang Primary, Twecher Primary, Hairstains Primary, Hillhead Community Centre and St David's Memorial Park Church Hall. A bumper year for holidays. Barhead Travel, one of the UK's leading travel agencies, has achieved a record-breaking year in 2024 and is eyeing growth for 2025. The Glasgow headquartered travel agency group celebrated success in 2023, with 12 consecutive record-breaking months went on to exceed sales again in 2024. The firm said sustained demand bolstered sales, with forward bookings for 2025 ahead compared with the same period last year. A shift towards early planning reflects a growing desire for customers to secure best availability as well as spreading the cost. Top European destinations for 2024 included Turkey, Tenerife, Mallorca, Alicante, and cruising from Southampton, with long haul being New York, Barbados, Orlando, Canada and Dubai. Holiday duration was on the rise too, with breaks for 10 nights or longer, accounting for more than 50% of bookings. Flight fears after thefts. A Turnbull High School staff member had to fork out for goods stolen by a small group of pupils at an Italian airport before their flight was permitted to take off. Pupils from the Bishopbriggs school were returning from a ski trip when some of the party were caught on CCTV stealing items in the duty-free area at Bergamo Airport. It's been reported that the theft was carried out by 7 senior pupils who took expensive aftershaves worth around €800. Staff and pupils were returning from a week-long trip to the Passo Tonale resort in northern Italy when the incident happened, causing security officers to be called and their flight home held on the runway. As understood, the plane was only allowed to take off after a school staff member handed over €800 to cover the cost of the missing items. The parent of a child on the trip has been reported saying that other pupils were left shaken and distraught after being told their flight wouldn't be taking off. The parent added that the pupils involved should face serious repercussions for the upset they have caused to others. It's been reported that the parents of the 7 teenagers have been asked to reimburse the member of staff. Greg Bremner, East Dunbartonshire Council's Chief Education Officer, said We are aware of the incident involving pupils at Turnbull High School. The school are taking this incident seriously and are in contact with parents to take appropriate action regarding this unacceptable behaviour. Plans for Food Growing Site. A non-profit organisation which specialises in teaching neurodivergent people about growing food is seeking approval to establish a new centre in Kirkintilloch. The New Roots Initiative has proposed that land to the east of Easter Cadder House could be utilised to create a facility where people would be able to grow their own food using sustainable methods and participate in learning programmes. If approved by Eastern Berkshire Council, the centre would include a storage building for machinery and seeds, 2 polytunnels and a toilet block. New Roots was established as a community group in Eastern Berkshire in 2017, becoming a social enterprise in 2023. It already operates community gardens in Twecker and the Allender Resource Unit. The food, which is produced, is shared among participants and also supplies a local fair trade cafe. The group holds a 10-year lease for the site in Kirkintilloch and has already established an orchard while also managing a pre-existing wildflower meadow with the aim of enhancing biodiversity. The long-term plan is to establish a circular economy model where food is produced using environmentally friendly methods and sold to local customers, while also providing a safe space for neurodivergent people to thrive. To learn more about the proposals or leave a comment for consideration, visit Eastern Berkshire Council's website and search for planning reference TP/ED/24/0290.
Buckle up for every journey. A report by Kevin McRoberts. Road Safety Scotland and Police Scotland have launched an impactful campaign highlighting the potentially devastating consequences of failing to wear a seatbelt, urging drivers and passengers in Eastern Bartonshire to belt up. Figures show that 21% of those killed on Scotland's road over a 5-year period were not wearing a seatbelt, and research demonstrates that wearing a seatbelt reduces both fatal and non-fatal injuries in front and back seat passengers. Despite this, 11% of drivers admitted to not always wearing a seatbelt in the front or back of the car. Around 1 in 5 drivers, 18%, said they don't think it's important to wear a seatbelt in the back. Cabinet Secretary for Transport Fiona Hislop said, "Fastening your seatbelt is one of the simplest actions you can take to protect yourself and others. In a collision, failing to wear a seatbelt can have devastating consequences, not only for the driver and passengers, but for your loved ones." This campaign serves as an essential reminder to anyone travelling in a car that a seatbelt can mean the difference between life and death, and it's not just you who gets hurt. Make it a habit on every journey. The campaign stresses the importance of wearing a seatbelt at all times, regardless of time of day, length of journey, and whether you're driving on busy or quiet roads. It also reminds people that it is a legal requirement to wear a seatbelt while travelling in a taxi or private hire vehicle. Chief Superintendent Hilary Sloan, head of road policing at Police Scotland, said, "Wearing a seatbelt isn't optional, it's the law. Our officers will engage with and educate drivers and passengers on the importance of seatbelts, but we will also continue to take appropriate enforcement action with those caught not wearing a seatbelt, facing a fine of up to £500. Drivers should also remember they are legally responsible for ensuring passengers under 14 are using their seatbelts, with fines issued for every child not properly restrained. The evidence is clear: seatbelts reduce injuries and save lives. Don't take unnecessary risk. Wear a seatbelt every time you travel. For more information, go to roadsafety.scot. That report was by Kevin McRoberts.
An Anticipated Records Release by Julie Curry. The birth entry of comedian Ricky Fulton is among 245,000 records newly released online by National Records of Scotland. Birth records over 100 years old are added to the site annually, along with death records that are 50 years old and marriage records that are 75 years old. Family historians and researchers can access them wherever they are. Alison Byrne, National Records of Scotland Chief Executive, said, "The annual birth, marriage and death records are our most hotly anticipated records release every year. Scotland's People helps researchers all over the world to investigate their heritage from the comfort of their own homes. If you've always wanted to look into your own family history, now would be an excellent time to start. I'm delighted to add these new records of Scotland's ordinary and extraordinary people to the centuries of Scottish history already available." Robert Ricky Fulton was born on April 15, 1924, in Denniston, Glasgow. After serving in the Royal Navy during World War II, Fulton became one of Scotland's most recognisable stars. He rose to fame as one half of the double act Francie and Josie with Jack Milroy, whose birth entry was added to Scotland's People in 2017. Best known for his role as the depressed churchman, the Reverend I.M. Jolly, the comedian's sketch show Scotch and Rye was a Hogmanay fixture. Fulton played a variety of characters, including Super Cop, Scotland's least competent traffic cop. He died in 2004, aged 79. Also added to the NRS online research website Scotland's People is the birth record of Gordon Smith, one of Hibernian FC's famous five forward line in the 1950s. Born on May 26, 1924 in Edinburgh, Smith is the only footballer to win the Scottish League Championship with 3 clubs: Hibernian, Heart of Midlothian and Dundee. He played his first game for Hibernian FC in April 1941, scoring a hat-trick in a friendly against Hearts at Tynecastle Park. He became part of Hibs's famous five forward line, alongside Bobby Johnston, Laurie Riley, Eddie Turnbull and Willie Ormond. All 5 were later inducted into the Scottish Football Hall of Fame. Smith scored 400 goals in 900 appearances and was capped 19 times for playing for his country. He died in 2004, aged 80. Also newly recorded is the 1949 marriage entry of the 10th Earl of Selkirk and Audrey Sale Barker, who both served as pilots during World War II. Sale Barker also captained the British women's skiing team at the 1936 Winter Olympics. The Earl died in 1994 and his wife passed just 1 month later. The 1974 death entry of pioneering Orcadian bird expert Eddie Balfour is another notable entry. Balfour spent 30 years studying hen harriers after being hired by the RSPB in 1953 as a watcher. He died of a sudden illness on August 12, 1974. Scotland's People website is the official Scottish Government site for searching records and archives. It is used by hundreds of thousands of people each year to apply for copies of official certificates and to research family history, biography, local history and social history. It is free to set up an account and to search all of the indexes. There are, however, charges for viewing some images. Scotland's People uses a credit system. 1 credit is worth 25 pence. You can use credits to access paid records, save copies of free-to-view records, or print copies of records in the Scotland's People Centre. To find out more or search, visit www.scotlandspeople.gov.uk. That article was written by Julie Curry.
Army cadets delighted to receive a letter from King Charles. Army cadets from Glasgow have received a letter from King Charles after writing to thank him on the environment, Army cadets and the armed forces. Towards the end of last year, cadets aged 11 to 17 in the Sea Troop Royal Artillery wrote to veterans across Scotland to wish them a happy Christmas and New Year. As part of this, they also wrote to His Majesty the King, and he has now written back. His reply, along with correspondence from Queen Camilla and the late Queen Elizabeth, now hangs on the Army Cadets Wall in Glasgow. Sergeant Sean Deary, Detachment Commander, said, "We also wrote 500 cards to Erskine Veterans Hospital. I wanted to ensure the cadets thought about their community and those who fought for what we have today. We needed not just to focus on those who served during world wars, but on recent conflicts such as Iraq and Afghanistan."
Help get your loved ones home in time for lunch by Kevin McRoberts. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, NHS GGC, is calling for support from patients' families and carers to help maintain strong hospital flow and avoid unnecessary delays, particularly over the winter months. As winter pressures mount, families are being encouraged to assist their loved ones where possible by making the necessary arrangements to help them return to the comfort of their home. NHS GGC is asking families and carers to support the Home for Lunch initiative by arranging transport in advance if required, ensuring appropriate clothing is available for travel, making sure their loved one has access to their home, and preparing essentials at home such as food and heating. Getting a patient back to their home environment, which could also include a care home in some cases, gets them back to their personal comfort and avoids the well-known risks associated with prolonged hospital stays, especially with older patients. Patients and families are also being encouraged to consider power of attorney. Power of attorney allows your wishes and preferences to be clear. If the time comes when you are unable to make those decisions for yourself, your next of kin, family, or other people close to you will have the legal right to make decisions on your behalf. Therefore, the power of attorney can give peace of mind, as you will know that you have the support of someone you trust. Without a power of attorney in place, delays in the discharge process are more likely. Around a third of patients are delayed returning home due to not having one. More information on power of attorney and setting one up is available at mypowerofattorney.org.uk. Professor Angela Wallace, Executive Director of Nursing, explained, "We don't want our patients to be spending their time waiting to get home. We know that every patient's time is so precious, and we are leading on many new ways of working together with patients, families and our teams to reduce unnecessary time spent in hospital. Getting a patient back to a homely setting has a significant positive impact on their health and well-being, and also ensures we have the ability to care for people who urgently need care and those people awaiting planned operations." That article was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Family announcements. Deaths. Ingram, Margaret Robertson. Peacefully at Lightburn Hospital, Glasgow on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Margaret, beloved wife of the late William, and loving mother to Charis. Funeral service will take place at Campsie Parish Church, Lennoxtown on Wednesday, January 29th, 2025 at 1:15 p.m. Thereafter to Glasgow Crematorium (Mary Hill) at 2:15 p.m. Family flowers only, please. Moore, Elizabeth McKee, Betty. Peacefully at home on January 4th, 2025.
a much-loved mum, gran and friend to many. Funeral service will take place on Friday, January 24th, 2025 at Glasgow Crematorium, Maryhill for 1:45 p.m. Funeral procession will be leaving from Co-op Funeral Care, Kirkintilloch at 1:15 p.m. and family wish to extend an invitation to join them at Kirkintilloch Miners Welfare and Social Club following the service. Acknowledgements. Aldridge, James, Jim. The family of the late James Aldridge would like to thank family, friends and neighbours who attended his funeral and for all the cards, flowers and kind words. We would also like to thank the Reverend Derek Peat for his kind service, Lawson's funeral directors, the Glazert Bank Hotel, South Bank Surgery and Heart Failure Nurses.
Urgent action to keep heating and water on. A report by Julie Curry. The UK government has been asked to direct urgent and proportionate action to protect tens of thousands of Scottish households ahead of the planned switch-off of the radio tele-switch service RTS later this year. Many energy meters in Scotland presently rely on this service, including 1,326 households and premises in Mid-Dumbartonshire and a further 1,362 in the Cumbernauld and Kirkintilloch area, constituents areas. Upcoming changes, responsibility for which sits with the UK government and which are being implemented by energy suppliers, means that support for RTS energy meters ends on June 30. From July 31, meters may not function properly, causing disruption to heating and hot water supplies, and households and businesses using the technology could end up with higher bills. Acting Climate Action Minister Alistair Allen has written to the UK government urging them to introduce penalties for companies who fail to replace the RTS with smart meters. Although Scotland has around 10% of UK households, it has more than 25% of the UK's RTS users. As of October 2024, more than 165,000 households and businesses in Scotland were still using the RTS, with rural and island areas among the most affected, along with Glasgow and Edinburgh. Dr. Allen said, if RTS equipment isn't replaced by the switch-off date, not only could households, businesses and public sector organisations be limited to a more expensive single-rate tariff, they may not be able to rely on their heating and hot water switching on and off. I have written to the UK government to record our growing concerns. If consumers have any questions, I encourage them to contact their supplier. Free advice is also available from Advice Direct Scotland or Citizens Advice Scotland. Although 99.3% of the UK is covered by the smart meter communications network, there are still areas where it is not accessible. Dr. Allen has requested that energy companies offer a suitable alternative for local communities that cannot access the network. Homes using RTS meters are typically in areas with no mains gas supply, with a teleswitch box next to the electricity meter. Some RTS meters may have the radio teleswitch in the same box with radio telemeter printed on it. That report was by Julie Curry.
Wednesday the 22nd of January, Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald opinion, Let's talk the letters page. Please send your letters via email to kirkyscotland.co.uk. That's KIRKY HERALD @JNSCOTLAND.co.uk and write letters in the subject field. Please keep letters to a maximum of 300 words. Letters cannot be published without a name and postal address. Also include a daytime phone number if possible. We reserve the right to edit any letter. Decline in young voters. Sir, a lot has been made of the huge majority won by Labour in the recent election with only 32% of the vote. While this shows a clear argument for the merits of proportional representation, another statistic is arguably more worrying: the number who bothered to vote. This statistic has shown a steady decline in general elections since the heady days of 1997. Closer examination reveals an even more critical factor, in that fewer young people feel the need to vote at all, failing to see the point. Achieving the universal right to vote is a hard-won privilege little more than 100 years old, and is a crucial aspect of democracy itself. Hopefully the disconnection between politicians and the young electorate is not irretrievable, and the trust between the two is regained. This cannot be taken for granted. Yours, etc., Ian Petrie, address supplied. No special affinity. Sir, John Swinney, of the SNP, thinks that Donald Trump has a special affinity with Scotland, and that this would help if Trump doesn't just introduce import tariffs in the US. Well, here is hoping, but not for the first time. Swinney's judgment may be faulty. Trump is a businessman, pro-US, is motivated by dollars and cents and not emotion. Yours, etc., William Ballantyne, by email. Taking attendance. Sir, MSPs have a duty to attend Holyrood for statements and debates. The hours of sittings are not onerous. Yet some high-profile MSPs have had long absences from the Chamber, according to Holyrood's own records. This has attracted criticism from members of the public, who pay MSP salaries. Now it seems that records of MSP's attendance in the Chamber are no longer to be published, allegedly to protect MSP's safety. I may be slow on the uptake, so perhaps someone can kindly explain how publishing MSP's attendance records, which axiomatically refer to past events, can possibly endanger MSP's safety. It may be, of course, that long-term absentees are merely confirming by their absence that Holyrood really is a rather pointless talking shop. Yours, etc., Jill Stevenson, by email. University funding. Sir, the Euclidean paradox of squaring a circle is insightful. When we look at the funding of our Scottish universities, step beyond the hyperbole of the Scottish Government funding mantra. In real terms, funding has been drastically reduced, forcing our universities to seek foreign students who pay high fees. In theory, the revenue generated subsidises local students. This is the circular cornerstone of the Scottish Government's policy. Unfortunately, the model is unsustainable. Our institutions have finite resources and capacity. The continuing demand from foreign students to access these faculties has increased competition and perhaps, not surprisingly, displaced Scottish candidates from gaining entry. Non-UK students attending Edinburgh and St Andrews now exceed the number of Scottish students attending those venerable institutions. Approximately 10,000 Scots will be denied entry across all university courses for 2024-25 as a consequence of a flawed university funding model and a government which fails to acknowledge that its model is incongruent with its ideology of a free university education. Universities are not entirely innocent. The taste of lucrative foreign income is seductive for chancellors, many with remunerations in excess of £250,000 per annum. Free university education is not sustainable unless funded sustainability at the required level. The current funding model is actively depriving our young people of opportunities and cannot be squared with the realities that our universities face. The paradox was resolved several thousand years ago after first proposed. Let's hope the Scottish Government resolves its paradox while we still have time. Yours, etc., Dr. G. F. Flynn, by email. Economic crisis. Sir, Rachel Reeves is desperately trying to send out the message regarding the UK economy as nothing to see here, move on. Unfortunately, there is a glaring error in her calculations. As the value of the pound plunges against the dollar, the price of petrol will inevitably rise as oil is traded in dollars. This, in turn, will fuel inflation. Ms. Reeves' plans are coming apart at the seams as borrowing rates are going up too. It is no longer a crisis. What crisis? It really is a crisis. Yours, etc., Gerald Edwards, by email. And that was this week's letters page.
Old Subway Seat to Upcycled Sofa by Rachel Amory. Old subway seats were one of the most recognisable sights in Glasgow, forming the backdrop to decades of commutes, shopping trips and nights out for generations of Scots. But for one Glasgow man, this iconic sight is now his living room sofa. Matt McCallum, 30, originally from Bishopbriggs but now living in the city centre, has upcycled one of the subway seats after finding it on Facebook Marketplace for £150. The architect knew as soon as he saw the advert that he had to have a piece of his city's history for himself. Matt said the person who was selling the seat had saved it from the scrap and was wanting to raise their own funds to buy themselves a whole carriage. The fabric is just so iconic and quite chic and trendy with a 70s look. I always like getting second-hand pieces on Marketplace and charity shops, so when I saw this I knew it was an opportunity and would find out what to do with it later. After finding a second-hand IKEA sofa from a couple in Glasgow for £80 a few weeks later, he immediately knew what he was going to do with his old subway seat. Mr. McCallum said, I'm from Glasgow, but I've lived in different cities before, like Vienna and London, which have their own subway systems. But there's something unique and cute about the Glasgow subway. It is simple and one of the oldest in the world. I have 100% probably sat on this seat in the past. This makes you realise how often you use these seats. Upcycling the old subway seat has been no small task, however, and one of the biggest jobs of the project has been cleaning decades of dirt off the seat. He added, it is nice to have this piece of history in our flat. The Glasgow subway opened in 1896 and was renovated with the well-known orange carriages in the 1970s, before the latest upgrade to the system. Even though the system was electrified in the 1930s, Mr. McCallum believes he has found traces of coal and soot in his chair that have been blasted into the carriage from the Victorian-era underground tunnels. He said, I have been constantly cleaning it, and the more work I did, the more I found. It was clearly used for a long time, and I found traces of coal down the back and the bottom of the seat, where it would have been fixed into the subway carriage. The fabric itself was velcroed on, so you're able to take that off and put it in the washing machine. But I kept seeing dust clouds of soot kicking up, so that has obviously got into all the nooks and crannies. His new sofa is already getting a lot of people talking, and Mr. McCallum says it is nice to see his new project being appreciated. He said, it is nice to have this piece of history in our flat. This seat would have been used for decades and been the backdrop to a lot of people's lives. Without realising it, people have become quite sentimental about them. That article was written by Rachel Amory.
Wednesday 22nd of January. District News, Churches. Home Church, Scotland. Lammermoor Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 2AB. Home Church Kirkintilloch, Home Church East End, Carmyle G32 8DP, and online, a church for all ages. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace. Romans chapter 15 verse 13. Sunday, January 19th, 9:30am and 11:30am, worship service, followed by refreshments. A warm welcome awaits you at either service, which will be identical. Monday, ladies' prayer meeting 7pm. Thursday, football. Friday, youth group 7:30pm. Prayer meeting 7:30pm. Home radio is available every day. See Facebook, Instagram and home church website for the latest information for Carmyle and Kirkintilloch. Kirkintilloch Church of God. At Regent Hall, Regent Street, on Wednesday, the coffee corner is open from 12 noon to 2pm. Join our friends and neighbours for some homemaking and coffee. The next Sunday service will be a friendship tea meeting at 4pm on Sunday, February 2nd. The guest speaker will be Alex Brown from Wishaw. A warm welcome is extended to all. For up-to-date and further information on our services, visit our website on www.regenthall.org. The Bible says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he would make your paths straight." Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5. Lenzie Old Parish Church. You are invited to attend Holy Communion on Sunday, January 26 at 11am. A creche is available for children under 3. The Scottish Bible Society Lenzie Action Group is holding a Burns Coffee Morning on Saturday, January 25th at 10am in the church hall. Tickets cost £4. Winner of the annual quiz will be announced. All funds raised are for the work of the Scottish Bible Society. Time Out, the social group for ladies of all ages, is on Monday evenings at 7:45pm in the church hall. The Quilt and Craft group meet every Wednesday from 10am to 12 noon in the session room. Thursday Afternoon Club is on Thursday, January the 30th, 2pm to 4pm. Enjoy tea, coffee and home baking, followed by a game of Scrabble, Dominoes, Rummy Cub or Uno. If preferred, you can sit back and chat and or do your knitting. There are books for sale and any donations go to Women's Aid. Scottish Country Dancing is on every Thursday, 7:15pm to 9:30pm. Come along for fun, fitness and friendship. You will be made very welcome. St James Church, Hilton Road, Bishopbriggs. Rector Reverend Paul Watson, 0141 230 4080. There is a communion service in the chapel on Thursday, January 23rd at 11am and at 9am on Sunday, January 26th. The 10:30am communion service with hymns is in the church and on Zoom. Everyone is welcome to come along to any of those services. Do stay on for tea, coffee and fellowship afterwards. Date for your diary: Sunday, February the 2nd at 7pm. Journey evening, Surprised by Hope. This is moved from January 26. There are also virtual services in groups. For up-to-date information, refer to our social media. Facebook, St James the Less, Bishopbriggs. Website, www.stjamesbishopbriggs.org.uk. Kenmure Parish Church. This Sunday morning, beginning at 11am, our service of worship will be led by Alison and Bruce Keith. Visitors to the area will be made welcome when they join us for our services. You can attend either in person or online on our YouTube channel. The service on YouTube can be watched live as it is streamed or later at a time that suits you. You can find our channel by simply searching for Kenmure Bishopbriggs on YouTube. There will be a period of fellowship following the service in the hall when teas, coffees and juice and biscuits are served. The most up-to-date details of all of our groups may be found on the What's On section of our website, kenmure-church.co.uk. To find us on Facebook, just search for Kenmure Parish Church. If you would like to join our WhatsApp group or receive the Bible studies from ABC, then email us at kenmurechurch@icloud.com. Milton of Campsie Church. We have a good gang of AV, audiovisual, folk, all men, who seem to work miracles for us. Cafe Connect is back in business. Tuesdays 9:30am till 12 noon. Time to pray is on Wednesday at 7pm in the Eric Liddell. Also at 7pm, the fellowship meets for a Scottish night at Hastings Golf Club. On Friday at 6:15pm, BB Anchor and Junior sections. Next Sunday, January 26th, we meet for worship at 11am. It's also the day for bringing items for Eastern Bartonshire Food Bank. Monday at 9:45am, Baby and Toddler Group. At 2pm, Hobbies Club. 7:30pm, Badminton Club. For more information about Milton of Campsie Church, visit www.mocpc.org.uk. St Mary's Parish Church. The service on Sunday, January 26th will begin at 11am and taken by the Reverend Dr. Ruth Morrison. There will be suitable activities for our young people in the church halls during the service. The craft group continues on Monday, January 20th, when we will continue to knit squares to create blankets for the homeless. In connections with this, we will be holding a big knit-in on Wednesday, January 22nd, when everyone is welcome to join us between 10am and 3pm, when we will continue knitting squares. Tea and coffee will be available all day, and a light lunch will be available from 12 noon. Wednesday welcome will also take place on Wednesday, January 22nd, beginning at 10am. It will be followed by a short service taken by the Reverend Ruth Morrison at 11:30am. On Wednesday, February the 5th, St Mary's will be holding their first open doors of the 2025. The church will be open from 10am until 3pm. Tea, coffee and biscuits will be available during this time. From 12:30pm, there will be musical entertainment provided by Sally McClellan and John Thompson. Lindsay Union Parish Church. The Sunday service is at 11am. Young people are also welcome at Lighthouse and Bible class. A live stream of the service will be available on YouTube. The meeting place opens for tea and coffee and home baking every Wednesday 10am to 12 noon in the hall. Everyone, from the very young to the young at heart, is welcome to attend, and we also have a good selection of greetings cards and second-hand books for sale. LUPC Bridge Club is on Wednesdays in the Old Hall at 1pm to 3pm. Come play this classic game. The Coffee Pot opens on Fridays for tea, coffee, home baking. A warm, friendly atmosphere for all ages. Art for Seniors is on Monday, January 27th, 1:30pm in the new hall. Enjoy creating a piece of art under the step-by-step guidance of artist Bev McCluskey. No experience needed. Contact Margaret on 0779 216 8826 to book your place. Torrance Parish Church. The morning service, in person, is at 10:30am, conducted by Reverend Stuart Irvin. During the service, the youngsters meet together in creche, junior church and FROG. To join the service online, go to www.torranceparishchurch.online.church. The cafe is open every Wednesday 9am to 12 noon for tea and coffee and delicious home baking. Why not come and taste for yourself? The Boys Brigade meet on Wednesday 7pm to 9pm, P7 to S6. To find out about regular weekly activities, check the website for what's on at www.tpc.org.uk. Cadder Parish Church. The coffee shop is open on Tuesday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. All are welcome to come and enjoy good food and fellowship. Intimations. If you would like your organisation or event intimated on the screen, if you could have it with our session clerk, Marjorie Tweedy, by Tuesday evening. Food bank. If you wish to donate to the local food bank, you can bring your donations to the church. More information at www.cadderchurch.org. St Columba's Men's Club. At 7:30pm every Monday, St Columba's Men's Club meets in the church hall at Old Isle Road, Kirkintilloch, and offers a very warm welcome, together with the chance to play a bit of pool or snooker, dominoes, or even some table tennis, or just enjoy a cup of coffee or tea and just chat. Members come from all around. If you would like more details, contact either Ian Gibb on 0141 776 5453 or Jim Kennedy on 07767 124 416. And that was this week's District News Churches, Wednesday 22nd January. Wednesday 22nd of January, District News General. Holyrood View. Local schools need to be refurbished, by Ross Greer MSP. Readers will have been shocked to see some of the photos and stories published since last summer regarding the condition of Mulgai Primary School. It's clear the school is in an unacceptable condition. Mulgai Primary is one of 5 Eastern Bartonshire schools assessed as being in poor condition, alongside Bearsden, Westerton and Balmuldy Primaries and Lenzie Academy. Lenzie Academy already has Scottish Government funding for a new building, leaving the huge challenge of funding the mix of refurbishments and full rebuilds required for the primary schools. To their credit, the council had a plan to do this, but it was thrown into chaos last year when the UK Government cut infrastructure budgets by 20%, which forced the Scottish Government and councils to shelve or pause many essential projects. Last autumn, I accepted the council invitation to inspect Mulgai Primary myself. I have also raised the issue in Parliament and invited the Scottish Government's Education Secretary, Jenny Gilruth, to visit the school. She has accepted, and this visit will take place in a few weeks' time. The council agreed last month to prioritise repairs to Mulgai Primary, with a temporary decant of pupils to 2 other schools this summer. They've allocated up to £8 million to this, which is great news. However, this is such a large proportion of their infrastructure budget that there is a real risk, both of delay to this refurbishment if there is a sudden need to divert funding, and to the other schools, also in urgent need of work. The risk could be reduced by more Scottish Government funding. Last week I pressed Jenny Gilruth on this in Parliament, urging the Government to support the Council's efforts to bring all 4 primary schools up to an acceptable standard as soon as possible. Whilst I completely understand the huge pressures on the Scottish Government's own budget, there are ways the money could be found. For example, we could end the ludicrous tax rates given to shooting estates, or transfer the funds currently allocated to climate-wrecking motorway expansions. More immediately though, the pupils, parents and carers at Mulgai Primary need to be involved in planning the temporary move to other schools while the work takes place. In December, I asked the council to organise an in-person Q&A event for parents, and I hope they will agree to that soon. Mould is a serious problem for Mulgai Primary School. Glasgow Reservists. 7 reservists and 2 Cadet Force Adult Volunteers, CFAVs, have been formally recognised by the Lord Lieutenant for the City of Glasgow for their diligence and dedication to service. The ceremony at Glasgow City Chambers on Tuesday, January 14th, saw the recipients receive Lord Lieutenant certificates of meritorious service. The annual Lord Lieutenant's Awards for reservists and CFAVs are seen as highly prestigious honours throughout the defence community. Bear requires an active owner. Bear is currently being cared for by the Scottish SPCA Edinburgh and Lothian's Animal Rescue and Rehoming Centre. He is an affectionate boy who loves his bum scratches. Bear is very food motivated, which is perfect bribery for continuing basic training in his new home and for learning new tricks. He is an active boy and would love a new owner who can match his energy and be willing to take him on lovely walks in the great outdoors. Bear may be able to live with teenage years and upwards, but they must be willing to learn the 2-ball toy game, which is his absolute favourite. If you can give Bear his new home, please apply at www.scottishspca.org/rehome-a-pet. Whisky Festival. The Scottish National Whisky Festival will return to Glasgow on Burns Night as part of this year's Celtic Connections. The festival, which runs annual events all over Scotland, will take place across multiple spaces within popular city events hub SWG3 on Saturday, January 25th. Full details at www.scottishnationalwhiskeyfestival.com. And that was this week's General District News, date Wednesday 22nd January.
Traffic notices. East Dunbartonshire Council public notices. The East Dunbartonshire Council. The A891 Antermoney Road / Campsie Road and the B757 Birdstone Road, Milton of Campsie. No waiting and no loading at any time. Restrictions and amendments. Order 2025. On Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025, the East Dunbartonshire Council made an order under the Road Traffic Regulation Act 1984, which comes into operation on Monday, the 10th of March 2025. The proposed order was advertised in the editions of the Bishopbriggs Herald and the Kirkintilloch Herald, published on the 21st of February 2024. The main effect of the order will be the introduction of no waiting and no loading at any time restrictions on the A891 Antermoney Road / Campsie Road and the B757 Birdstone Road, Milton of Campsie. A copy of the order and plans detailing the lengths of road affected may be examined without payment of fees in the road section of the East Dunbartonshire Council website. To arrange viewing of the order at council offices, telephone inquiries to 0300 123 4510. Any person wishing to question the validity of the order or any provisions therein on grounds that the order is not within the powers conferred by the Road Traffic Regulations Act 1984, or on the grounds that any requirement of that Act or of any relevant regulation made thereunder has not been complied with in relation to the order, may within 6 weeks from the 21st of January 2025 make an application to the Court of Session for this purpose. Karen Donnelly, Chief Solicitor and Monitoring Officer, Executive Officer, East Dunbartonshire Council Headquarters, 12 Strathkelvin Place, Kirkintilloch, G66 1TJ. Members' surgeries. Councillors' arrangements for interviewing residents. Councillor Colette McDermott, 24th of January 2025, Lennoxtown Hub, 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. Councillor Colette McDermott, 25th of January 2025, Bishopbriggs Library, 9:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Councillor Colette McDermott, 25th of January 2025, Torrance Community Centre, 10:15 a.m. until 10:45 a.m. Between surgeries, councillors can be contacted at the Members Support Unit on 0300 1234510. Planning applications. Format. application number, followed by address/location, followed by proposal, followed by type of advert, followed by period of reps. TP/ED/24/0713. 13 Grove Park, Lindsay, East Dunbartonshire, G66 5AH. Erect a single-storey pitched roof extension to side and rear of dwelling house. Section 65, affecting CA, 21 days. If you are unable to view the plans on the Council's website, then please contact the Planning Duty Officer to arrange a suitable time to view the plans in our offices. Written comments may be made within the above period to the Council through the Council's website or to the above address. Any representations will be treated as public documents and made available for inspection by interested parties and may also be published on the Council's website.
Football. Rob Roy have to accept a point. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. An injury time equaliser snatched a point for Kirkintilloch Rob Roy's 10 men away to Renfrew, but manager John Gibson felt they could have got more out the game. In the first half, it was hard to tell the home side are West of Scotland First Division title challengers, while Rob Roy are closer to the relegation zone than they'd like. The visitors' intent was obvious when Jordan Pirrie smacked an effort off the underside of the bar. They then went in front after 28 minutes when Kyle MacDonald ran onto a long ball over the top to finish. The woodwork came to Renfrew's rescue once again as it was Jamie Bowman's turn to hit the crossbar and Rob Roy had to settle for a 1-goal lead at the break. The game turned on its head just after the hour mark as a 2-minute brace from Dominic Innes gave Renfrew the lead. Rob Roy were then dealt a further blow when the impressive Sean Kennedy hobbled off with a hole in his knee. There was worse to follow with 7 minutes to go when Pirrie was shown a red card scuffle in the middle of the park. However, Rob Roy refused to give up and 2 minutes into injury time, Scott Gibson crashed in a free kick off the underside of the bar to level. John Gibson told the club's media team, "We'll take a draw in the end, but I thought first half we were excellent. We hit the crossbar twice, scored and had a few half chances in good areas. We deserved to be 1 up at half time. Really, it should have been more. In the second half, we've come out and we've never really at it and lost 2 bad goals which put us on the back foot. However, all credit to the boys as after the sending off we've come back and we scored a great free kick. As I say, we'll take a point, but I'm a bit disappointed because of the way we played in the first half." This Saturday, Rob Roy faced Gibson's former side, Blantyre Victoria. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. Wrestling. Scott among favourites to win WWE Royal Rumble. Uncredited. It's not long to go until one of the biggest night of the years for fans of professional wrestling, the WWE's Royal Rumble. For the first time, Netflix subscribers will be able to watch all the action for free as part of a £4 billion 10-year deal between WWE and the streaming giant. Earlier this month saw the debut of WWE's Raw, Next and SmackDown shows on Netflix. The Rumble will see 30 men and 30 women aiming to be the last competitor standing in their respective matches to earn a title shot. Last year in Florida saw Cody Rhodes win back-to-back in the men's match, while Bayley stood among the women. This year's Rumble takes place on Saturday, February the 1st in Indianapolis, starting at 1 AM UK time on the Sunday. Scotland's own Drew McIntyre won the event in 2020 before going on to become the first Brit to lift the WWE Championship. 5 years on, he is priced at 9-1 to join a select band of wrestlers in winning his second Rumble. John Cena is on his retirement tour this year and is the 8-11 favourite to win his third Rumble, matching Stone Cold Steve Austin. Other top names in the frame include Roman Reigns, 5-2, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, both 10-3. The Rock 9-1 and Randy Orton 10-1. Favourites for the women's match is McIntyre's fellow 2020 winner Charlotte Flair at 6-4. She will be challenged by Io Sky 5-2, Becky Lynch 10-3, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair both 4-1, and Rhea Ripley 11-2. Read by Alan Todd. Rugby. Squad for Six Nations is named. Written by Brian Yule. Read by Alan Todd. Gregor Townsend has named his squad for the 2025 Guinness Six Nations, which will be co-captained by Rory Darge and Finn Russell. Scotland face Italy at home on Saturday, February 1st, with Darge and Russell sharing the armband after leading the side in the 2024 Championship. Sion Tuipulotu was originally named skipper, but he will miss the tournament after sustaining a pectoral muscle injury. There are two uncapped players in the selection: Saracen standoff Fergus Burke, who qualifies through the lineage of his Glasgow-born grandfather, and Glasgow Warriors number 8 Jack Mann, who has impressed in the Scotstoun back row this season. Bordeaux Beglay's Johnny Gray, who has won 77 caps, will be hoping to earn a first cap since 2023, the second row having returned from injury to stake his claim for a test spot. There are 22 forwards named, with Darge, Jamie Ritchie, Luke Crosby, Josh Bayliss, Jack Dempsey and Matt Fagerson joining Mann as back row selections. Gray is one of 4 second row forwards alongside Grant Gilchrist, Marshall Sykes and Gregor Brown. Despite a broken arm, Scott Cummings may also feature. In the front row, props Pierre Showman, Rory Sutherland, Jamie Batty, Xander Fagerson, Will Hurd and Darcy Ray are joined by 4 hookers in the shape of Ewan Ashman, Dave Cherry, Dylan Richardson and Patrick Harrison. The 15 backs comprise a back 3 stable of Blair Kinghorn, Duan van der Merwe, Darcy Graham and Kyle Rowe, with 4 centres Hugh Jones, Stafford McDowell, Matt Curry and Rory Hutchinson. In the halfbacks, Russell and Tom Jordan are in alongside fellow standoff Burke, with the group completed by scrum half trio Ben White, George Horn and Jamie Dobie. After facing Italy in the opening weekend, Scotland then host Ireland on Sunday, February the 9th, before heading to Twickenham on Saturday, February 22nd, to contest the Calcutta Cup. They then have a home match against Wales on Saturday, March 8th, before finishing up with a trip to Paris to face France on Saturday, March 15th. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. Football. Locomotives have had a busy time off the pitch. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. Caledonian Locomotives have had a busy start to the new year as they look to push up the West of Scotland Second Division table in the second half of the campaign. Willie Sawyers has joined the coaching staff, with the former Kirkintilloch Rob Roy and Clyde striker having most recently been a player at Kilsyth Rangers. A club statement said, "We are thrilled to announce the appointment of Willie Sawyers to our coaching team. His vast experience will be an asset to our young squad." Looking to youth, Aidan Shields and Ryan Gibb have both signed dual contracts until the summer of 2026. Both have impressed while working their way through the club's pathway, with Gibb having already scored 3 goals for the first team. Ex-Petershill striker Lennon Houston has been available for transfer, having only joined the club in the summer. Meanwhile, former Cumbernauld Colts winger Cammy McNeil's loan move from Petershill has been made into a permanent one. Cali played their first match of 2025 on Saturday as they hosted Yoker Athletic, but lost 2-1. Jordan Brown was on target for the hosts, but goals from Ewan Bonham and Dean Farmer gave the visitors the points. The First Division saw a 3-0 loss for Ashfield away to Thorneywood United, with a Daniel Kindlin brace and Christopher Neeson strike. In the Third Division, goals from Jamie Adam, Prismlaw Daknovich, Barry Peters and Lewis Watt gave Finnart a 4-1 win at home to Glasgow Perthshire, the response coming from Brian Henderson. In the Fourth Division, There was a 1-0 defeat for West Park United away to Port Glasgow Juniors, Jack Purdue scoring the only goal. Meanwhile, Kevin Docherty, Greg Harrower and Mark Russell all found the net for Rossvale at home to St Peters, but it ended up 3-3 with Hasib Ahmed, James Linney, Jonathan Mellon on target. Saturday fixtures. First Division. Blantyre Victoria versus Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. Kilwinning Rangers versus Ashfield. Petershill versus Thorneywood United. Third Division. Finnart versus Kilsyth Athletic. Glasgow Perthshire versus Dalry Thistle. Fourth Division. Rossvale versus Port Glasgow Juniors. Giffnock versus West Park United. Written by Brian Newell, read by Alan Todd. Football. City prospects remain with loan sides. Uncredited. 3 of Glasgow City's academy prospects will remain on loan at their respective clubs for the rest of the season. Rachel Murchie, who made her City debut last season against Hamilton Accies, is at fellow SWPL 1 side Montrose. The 18-year-old midfielder has made 13 appearances for Craig Feroz's side since making the temporary switch in August. Murchie has now been joined by 17-year-old striker Sophia Martin, who arrived at Montrose on loan last week. Martin was the youngest Scottish female to sign pro terms and has scored 3 goals in 21 appearances for City. 16-year-old forward Cara Gray and 17-year-old defender Mia Scott are both with SWPL 2 side Kilmarnock. The pair have become regular starters for the promotion-chasing outfit, featuring in the SWPL 2 Team of the Week, and Gray also being nominated for Player of the Month in October. City's Head of Player Development, Kieran McEnany, is excited to see how the players progress this term. He told the club's website, "I'm delighted we've been able to continue our young players' development within the SWPL and thank Montrose and Kilmarnock for providing our up-and-coming talent with a platform to shine. I look forward to monitoring their progress as they couple real game experience with their time spent around our first team training environment." City return to SWPL 1 action this Sunday when they travel to Hibs. Read by Alan Todd.
That concludes this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.